that it's not about rush. It's not about how to like squeeze more into your time. It's just time is running out, and you can earn more money. You can you can inherit it, you can invest it, but you can never have more time. And one of the examples that was really vivid for me was Warren Buffett. I hope you know this guy. He's in top 10 most famous people in the world. And in his interview with Bill Gates for Bloomberg, I really recommend it. He says these words. I made a screenshot. It's available on YouTube. Hey, I mean, I can buy anything I want. This guy, his wealth is estimated to be $70-something billion. So it's more than GDP of some countries. But then he adds something that's crucial for me, but I can't buy time. So time is just running out. With money, we can do a lot of different stuff. So what is this productivity? If we just make definition, it's just value we get out of the effort we put into something. So value can be different things. It's what you value personally. It can be if something allow you to achieve your goals. And then effort can also be time, can be energy, but it also can be money. So increasing productivity is actually trying to ask these questions like, how do I increase the value I get out of the effort I put, and how do I lower the effort if I'm fine with value? So it's not about how to rush more, how to squeeze more into your time. It's rather thinking about the value we get of our actions and then effort we put. So I'm running Productivity PL for the last 6 years almost. I've been 10 years a software developer, tester, or QA to say, then manager, and I've been in multiple roles in IT. And then last 6 years I spent just on trainings on time management. That's my passion topic, and I learned a lot from my students, and that's what I want to cover today is actually what I learned while maybe helping over 3,000 people with their productivity. That's my past. That's 2000, I believe, 8 in Dallas with Jerry. We're trying to make this board that you see in the picture alive, let's say. And so that was my beginnings. But now I'm also a musician, and that's also important aspect of, let's say, time management and how I perceive it, this slow productivity that gives you space for things like creativity or things that have no plan, or rest. One of my, let's say, lifetime achievements was last year I played concert, and on the audience I had Leszek Możdżer, who is one of the most famous Polish jazz composers, and I had him in my audience, and getting feedback from such person is really a lot of value for me. I also try to train physical activities, have fun with it, and be fit, because that also helps me get much more value out of my life and my activities. So what I'm going to cover today for the next, let's say, nearly 30 minutes is a concept of 4 levels of time management and energy management and how you can do it. Then habits that last and how you can work on your habits without actually spending too much energy. That's a topic that's usually very active in people's lives in the early months of the year, and then it slowly declines. The concept of 4 types of time that help me and I hope will help you live the slow productivity, and what are the most common mistakes I see in time management that I learned as it's a repeating pattern in the life of my own students. And then let's do Q&A on Discord, but for that I need to finish the presentation first. So 4 levels of time management. What is a typical scenario I see? So people want to organize their lives. They take the task list application, or they take a sheet of paper, they write down things, and it works. It works for 2 or 3 weeks. It's beautiful. It's perfect. We think how we could live without it. And then the list keeps growing and growing and growing to the point that you open it and you're overwhelmed. It's just not helping you anymore. Your task list turned into shame list. And so of course you skip it, you drop it, and you never use it for the next months or years, and then come back. So what's the problem? How to solve it? So let's talk about these 4 levels of time management. The first and obvious is days and weeks. This is when people look for improvements in productivity, they usually look for this layer. I mean, how do I know what to do? How do I prioritize stuff? How do I help my focus and maybe avoid distractions and stuff like that? So this is an organization of like everyday life. But and actually most apps that we use, most stuff, most tools is there. But then we have this level of projects and areas. So even if I have a task list and I'm just like running few tasks every day and I see my projects going well, then I need some time, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, or maybe I would recommend once a week, to sit down and reflect, just even 15 minutes. Where am I? What's my energy level right now? What's my energy level this week? Is it okay? Do I need to recharge? Or is it probably, I don't know, record high and I can use it well? How do I feel? How's my body? If I stretch it too much, then I just get sick. And then you might go through various projects that you run, but also areas of life like relationships. Hey, did I have contact with all the people I love? Do people I love know it? You can think about the space you're in. Is it comfortable? Maybe it needs some improvement about your finances or about what you eat. So we cannot do it every day. It's not worth it to do it like every 6 months because that's way too rarely. But let's say once a week, a really short stopping point and reflecting, where am I? Maybe looking from a wider perspective. That would be projects and areas, and it needs to be cleaned up a little bit to have the same areas looked over weeks and weeks. But then we have a strategy. Strategy is more long-term and tells us these are the things I want to do and these are the things I don't want to do. Because I have some strategy, like if we were on our studies, most of us were locked for 3 or 5 years into some strategy to finish it. Okay, so we chosen some activities and we said we don't have time for other activities because that was our choice. And now you may have a strategy for, I don't know, moving outside of town. It requires probably to run multiple projects, deal with, I don't know, kids and how to get them to school. So this is strategy. Your strategy may be to, I don't know, be in a testing space, but also learn a lot of software development or about processes and maybe go more into management space. And if you're a manager, then you can have also a different strategy. So where I want to go and how do I get there? And the 4th level is a big picture. Big picture, I mean, your values, your thing that make you feel that this is a good life. And these things are usually connected much to your values, to your life satisfaction. And you can apply these 4 levels also to your private life and to your work life. Because every company has to organize their everyday operation. You have a lot of processes. We have Scrum, we have traditional project management. Then we have to look these projects areas. Maybe there's a PMO meeting or management meeting where we just look through various areas. Are they healthy? Maybe our weekly meeting is for that. Our teams and our part of companies or the whole companies have strategy. Okay, this is the market that we believe is a future. So let's invest there. And big picture, a company also have values. You don't want to join a company that have different values than your own. So this applies, these 4 levels apply to your company and to your private life as well. When it comes to organizing days and weeks, there are just 3 concepts that are crucial for everyone. is how to effectively plan your day that's short. I mean, short is, for me, the maximum amount of time that you should spend on your daily planning is 5 minutes. And then how in 5 minutes I'm able to plan my day and to do it realistically. Though that's a quest number one. Quest number two is, how do I manage my energy? Okay, days have 24 hours. Some have 25, once a year, and once 23. But 24 time is a fixed amount. What's not fixed is usually our energy. So you have your low days and high days, and it can vary from day to day. The question is, how do you manage your energy well? Because if let's say you take your phone and it has 30% in the morning, and you know that you will not be able to charge it over the day, there's a completely different way that you're using your phone than when you see it has 100%, and you know you can charge it any moment you want. So sometimes time management is more about energy management, especially for parents. So yeah, your kids go to bed at 9 p.m. You still have 2-3 hours, let's say. But so what? You don't have any energy left for the day. So this is a very nice concept to explore. What is actually draining most of my energy? How do I spend it well? And actually, where are my peaks and lows in the energy during the day? Does it change with the weather? Does it change with the season? With the way I sleep, the way I eat? That's a nice area of experimenting. And then the third area is focus and distractions. And so I have a clear plan. I know what to do. I know how to deal with the new stuff that's coming. I try to manage my energy well. And then how do I keep focused and avoid distractions? So these are big topics, and you have plenty of tools for that. We have tools dedicated to time management, to task management. I mean these in, let's say, upper left areas: Nozbe, Microsoft To Do, Asana, Todoist, TickTick, ClickUp, AnyDo, and Trello. These are all apps that are pretty common, and they both offer, let's say, similar functionality that you may use. Then on the bottom left, we have calendars, actually nearly 3 choices. It's a Google Calendar, or you have Outlook Calendar for Microsoft, or from Apple. Even if you have a different front end, usually the back end of the calendar is actually one of the 3 companies. Top right is few apps for taking notes. Most people for simple note taking use Evernote, OneNote, Keep, or Notes. And of course, paper for even calendar, task list, and notes. And this bottom right area is for our, let's say, helping our focus. So we have multiple apps and plugins to help us with the focus. But the most important tool you will ever have is this. It's number 3. So I have a very simple question, because you're all super busy. So the super simple question is, what are the 3 most important things that you want to achieve tomorrow? I know your task lists are big. I know you have plenty of meetings. I know there are like multiple things you want to achieve. But then if you were to choose 3 most important things for tomorrow, what would that be? Or for next Monday? And this question of 3 most important things help most of my students, and they rate this habit the highest. It stays the longest. It helps you the most because it works in all conditions. You don't have to have a complex task list. You don't have to run a very heavy process. This is very simple. And in a, let's say, chaotic moment of something unexpected, like I had just before running this presentation, is, okay, what are the 3 most important things for now? Okay, everything's changed. Now I have to, like, 1, 2, 3, what is it? You can ask yourself a question: what are the 3 most important things for next week? Okay, so instead of planning a week of doing like a long list, okay, imagine that the week is over, you go to bed and you think that was a really good week. What are the 3 things that need to happen so you feel it? you can ask this question for this presentation when I'm done. It's like, what are the 3 key points that I take out of this presentation? What struck me most? And I mean, at most 3. Of course, it can be 1. But I think you understand it. And then we all want to plan our lives and days and get most out of it. And then you can ask even yourself a simple question. We have, October 21st, like over 2 months until the end of the year. And then the question is, okay, so what are the 3 most important things that I want to achieve by the end of the year? So, no OKRs, no big plans, just tell me 3 most important things that you have, that you would like to achieve by the end of this year. And this is a very simple concept. You can apply it in small scale, large scale. And I love this exercise for the teams where I ask every team member to, okay, write down 3 things that you think are crucial for your team by the end of this year. And everyone writes down what they think. And then we compare the replies, responses with each other and with the boss of the team. And it's a very nice exercise when many people realize that everybody has, maybe they agree with 1 point, but other than that, we all think the other thing is really the most important. And how can we be productive as a team and individual team members when we don't even agree what are the 3 top things by the end of the year? So that's an exercise to run for you if you think it will be beneficial for you. What COVID did to us with these levels? With days and weeks, they got crazy because some people are suddenly with kids running around, with online meetings at home, at the same space, with different habits, with different environment. So it all changed. But if you had a process of planning 5 minutes a day, or you had a process of planning your week, let's say 15 to 30 minutes a week, if you had that in place, nothing really changed. Maybe what's inside changed because you work in a different way. So the inside changed. Maybe what you have on your task list changed, what you have in your calendar, but not the process that you had in place. And the same happens with the projects and areas. Some areas of your life during the pandemic time changed radically. Maybe how you get fit or what you eat and when you eat and with whom. These are the things that changed. Maybe some projects needed to be canceled because they had no sense at all. Or new projects arrived because there's a new market opportunity. Or in your personal life, some relationships got hurt and some new emerged. So again, these inside things changed. But if you had a process of, let's say, weekly review and then reflecting on why you do it, what's the value you get out of it, and how much effort you put into that. If you had just a short reflection on that, it's still in place. The same with strategy. Strategies of some teams and companies had to change from day to day. When pandemic started last year in April, my calendar got cleaned out till the end of the year. I left out of training. Most of them were offline trainings in rooms, in classrooms, let's say, with people, and it was done live. And in 3 weeks, I believe, all the sessions were canceled till the end of the year. So I had to change the strategy also to be more online. And I had already 1 or 2 online courses that were there. So I experimented with them a little bit more and then expanded on that. But it required for me a completely different strategy. But the way of thinking about strategy is still in place. And the same happens with the big picture, with values. The pandemic didn't change my core values. Maybe some people realize more what are their core values, because suddenly when you're cut out of some options, now you realize how important was that to you. So again, nothing really changed in terms of the processes that are around. Maybe the things that are inside changed a bit, but not the way you deal with it or plan it. And so we have multiple tools and to think about these levels. I think the most tools that you use like paper, phone, and everything here apply to days and weeks. For projects and areas, you just need a really good focused reflection time with a clear plan what to do and how to use that time wisely, not to overthink stuff, but at the same time, like get the core of what's working and not working, what is to celebrate and what is to improve. And the same with strategy. Actually, strategy can be 2 or 3 sentences. That's it. And usually when it's shorter, it's better because it's there to help us make quick decisions. And big picture is also, it can be a note in one of the notes in your note-taking system or one page in your notebook. It's like, what is the life I dream of? What are my values that I really want to live according to? So these were the core 4 layers, and I hope that it's clear how important habits are for that. And so now let's talk about habits that last. Why do we need that? It's because even during pandemic time, as you've seen, what's inside our task list, inside our calendars, the way we run meetings, the way we do stuff is completely different. But habits of planning, of let's say keeping your task lists up to date or reflecting on your strategy, is something that can be nearly automatic. So with habits, everyone probably want to run or do some physical activities. We have big problems with that. And when I think about it, and if you cut your brain, there are, let's say, 3 layers that really are interesting to me and should be interesting to you today. Is that core of our operation is emotions. It's like the core brain that is shared among almost all the animals, and we are run by emotions. That's let's say a fact. We can discuss it. It has much more power than logic. If in terms of steering our behavior, if logic had the precedence, then if you see someone angry, you would say, "Calm down," and that person would say, "Oh yeah, thank you. I think I'm overreacting." So that would happen if logic had the precedence. But if you're emotionally aroused, sorry, that's something to deal with first, and we have to put an enormous amount of processing logical power that's here to actually control our emotions, and we get really energy drained out of that. So habits, then we have this layer of habits, the things that are automatic, that can trigger automatically, that I don't know, you brush your teeth every day, you flush the toilet without much thinking, but you also have probably hundreds of habits that run your life, how you drink water or tea or coffee, what do you do during breaks, how do you manage your mail inbox, what do you do with a task, or if I borrow a book from you. That's all the triggers. And at the end, we have this logic that tries to make sense out of this mess. So how to use our logic to actually form good habits? For that, we need this concept of habit loop. It's very simple. There are many books on that topic. Don't want to spend too much time on that. But the simple concept is that the brain, this layer of let's say, in a simplistic way, the layer of habits work this way, that it looks for trigger, look for a habit, and for a reward. So if there's an action followed after some trigger, and that leads me to a reward, this loop is closed. That means that brain is trying to make this automated. So if I see a trigger, there is a dopamine shot that pushes me to do the thing to get a reward. That's a simple concept. And then there are 4 hints how you can form your habit more easily to make that loop working for you. The first is to start small, and when you try to do something that's too big, then you get emotionally drained and it's not going to work. So if you want to do something good for your back, don't start with 15 minutes exercising in the morning or in the evening. Start with 2-minute exercising in the morning. Get 1 exercise, get it constant trigger, constant reward, and just repeat. So after I brush my teeth, I do this 1 exercise for my back that I feel is working for me, just 1. And if I'm done with it and I feel it's working, then I add another 1 to it, and then the 3rd. And then finishing 1 habit is a trigger for another 1. So if you try to form any habit, just start really small, because we don't want this feeling of overwhelm. We want something that, okay, I can do that. That's easy. That will bring me value. Second thing is fun factor. Fun is really important because fun is the word in itself. Just look at kids and how they run and how they have fun out of things. So if you want to do physical exercising or get your time management done well, think about it as if you can put any fun factor into that, that will greatly help you, because that's a reward in itself. So start with an exercise you like. And if you want to organize yourself, start with the tools you like or the tools that you think will help you. So if you are a paper lover, then buy a notebook that you just love to open. So that's a fun factor. The third thing is finding a partner or a group and being in a community of people that have more or less the same goal is relieving. You know it probably if you were in a group that's running or in a book club or stuff like that, then you know what I'm talking about. If you want to change any behavior in your life, just find a partner or a group or someone. They don't have to do it with you, but the feeling that someone else does it is something that is doing beautiful things for our brain, because social approval, being seen and being in a community is one of the biggest rewards also in itself. And fourth thing, especially important for my Polish friends, is when we fail or when we skip a repetition, there's usually a shot of guilt and shame. It's like, oh no, I'm never going to do it. It's like, how could I? And stuff like that. It's completely unproductive. And if we can change this into curiosity, into reflection, that would be awesome. Because, for example, I did my back exercises for 2 weeks, and then I started to skip it, and I can think, oh, I'm never going to do it. But I can have curiosity and reflection. How did it happen? What happened, actually? I was doing it well for the last 2 weeks, and suddenly I stopped. Is it too big? Is it maybe trigger is wrong? Maybe the time is wrong. So just try to find any improvement and move with it. So that will be just 4 improvements for everyone's habit. There's a story of Michael Phelps that jumped into the swimming pool seeing nearly nothing. That's a 2008, and actually he won a gold medal still seeing nothing. And when he made an interview, it got clear that sometimes his trainers turned off the light in the swimming pool for him. So he had to learn how to swim in complete darkness. And these habits that form in his body helped him in this crisis situation. So this is also for us. Good times are good times to create habits, to invest in them, like driving a car, and then you have them when you need them. And the third concept about slow productivity is a fourth type of time. This is very simple. We can divide our time into some goals to achieve. This is what we organize. This is when we want to get the value. We think about goals, systems, OKRs, SMART goals, and stuff like that. We have task lists, but that's the only one area. The second area is rest. How do you charge your internal batteries that are emotional, physical, spiritual, maybe? How do you charge your internal battery the best? Maybe it's nature, maybe it's sleep. What is it? Then you have relationships. How do we create bond? How do we get more trust and stuff like that? And the fourth time is creative time. Creative time has no goal. It's like small kids. You ask small children, like, what are you building? Because adults have everything has a goal. Okay, if you're building something, that it means it has a goal. But a kid will answer you, I'm just building. Okay, I don't know. I'm not. It may finish with the rocket or the castle. I don't know yet. And that's the essence of creative process. That means something that doesn't have a clear goal. You're just playing with it and see what happens. And so how to take care about them? The first, stop mixing it. Mix it, but not be dragged into something else. So some other type of time. Like you have your goal to achieve, but you are not rested enough, and you are forced by your brain to do a break, to scan Facebook, Instagram, or something like that. It would be good to take a good rest without a phone, take a nap, or take a walk, or something like that, and then come back charged to deal with your goals. Or you're in a relationship, you have a deep talk, and suddenly you have an urge to check your phone. So maybe we should stop mixing it this way and be fully into the activity we do. If we rest, let's do 120% rest that we can allow ourselves. And the same with creative time. If I'm in creative time, it doesn't have to be a goal. It doesn't have to make sense. I'm just playing around. So how it usually looks like is like I mentioned, it's completely mixed in a wrong way. So I'm not being creative because I push myself toward a goal. I'm not fully in rest because I just distract myself with social media and stuff like that. Yeah, and so what are the most common mistakes I see? It's wrong tools and not using their power. Like task lists, applications are helping us to manage our task lists. And some people just don't use that powers that are built in these tools, but this is a longer story. And wrong tools, I mean, for example, if the app is optimized for note-taking, it will of course help us make notes about our tasks, but there are much more powerful tools that will help your brain save more energy. Second thing is mixing levels of time management. I mean, sometimes we put on our task list, there is a task that that's 2 months long. It's not a task, it's a project. So we think about our strategy every third day and then about our values in a random way, and it's all mixed. So these are tasks, the small things, 1, 2, 4 hours, that's it. Projects, let's do weekly review. Strategy, it's clear for a few next weeks or months, and my values are here. So not mix it and have a clear path here. Lack of focus, lack of common agreements, being distracted, because we're not often using the right tools. There are no agreements like Slack. What do we use Slack for? What's the expected response time on Slack or on email? We don't have an agreement in Teams about that. And then we are, let's say, hesitant to put our Slack onto don't disturb mode or close our email for 30 minutes because we don't know what's going to happen. There's lack of agreement. And the same happens to our phones. We have plenty of settings that can help us restrict the sites that we are overusing. It's there, it's just to use. The fourth thing is lack of clear priorities and being urgency driven. If we don't have these lists and we don't choose the 3 most important things, then we just do the stuff that's in front of our eyes, that's it. And the fifth thing is working fitfully instead of forming habits. Habits like small things that are repetitive, that are tied to the trigger and the reward. And it doesn't require really too much energy because that's like a packet prepared for our brain to just optimize it. And the sixth and the last thing is that we're forgetting it's all about emotion. That's a core. So if you emotionally feel drained, it will be really hard for you to focus, to, let's say, reject some temptations to use social media, and you will be burned out. So it sometimes all comes back to emotions. The same happens with rewards in habits. So if I were to recommend 3 books after this talk, I think that will be Atomic Habits by James Clear, the best book on habits that I found, Essentialist by Greg McKeown, and Your Brain at Work by David Rock. These are like 3 books for logical people that like to organize stuff and maybe also help to understand more about how do we operate and how our brains operate. I'll wait for questions from you on Discord. In a while, I'll just switch to that. So if you want to discuss, I'll be available. I'm a big fan of time management and just study it and love to share tips and hints and questions and answers. If you want to keep in touch with me, there's a newsletter that I'm running, but probably the best channel is to connect on LinkedIn. I'm Piotr Nabielec, you'll find me, and just if you can write a note, that's after the conference, that would be great. I have a few courses. One is on Udemy, Practical Time Management, with nearly 10,000 reviews, and the course I'm running 2 times a year to form habits. So for today, what we covered, it's 4 levels of time management and energy management. It's like days and weeks, 1 set of tools, projects and areas, second, then habits, then strategy, and then your values. Second topic, habits, small steps, repeatable way, a group or a partner, instead of guilt and shame, reflections. 4 types of time. Time is not only about goals, but we need rest, we need creative time, we need relationships, and be mindful about them. And most common mistakes, I hope were helpful to you. And call to actions at the end. So what you can do after this presentation, 3 most important takeaways from today, at most. Okay, what this presentation gave you, what is the 1, 2, or 3 points that you want to take with you about this presentation or for tomorrow? What habit would you form if you had, let's say, 2-minute rule? I mean, you have to be able to complete this exercise in 2 minutes. What would that be? If you could rate your balance of 4 types of time, let's say on scale from 0 to 10, like how am I satisfied with my goals, with my rest, with my relationships and creative time? What are the 3 most important things for the next quarter, let's say by the end of the year? And then think about team agreement for communication channels. Like, what do we use Slack for? When can I put don't disturb mode? And then how do you reach me when I have this mode on or on Teams? And then what would be the 1 improvement for your focus? Is it avoiding social media, or is it rather Slack, or it is, I don't know, maybe taking a nap? So thank you very much.